Welcome to the Brief on Grief with Walter Sanderson. For this episode, I'd like to speak and talk to you about simply that it's okay to not be okay. And so today, I'd like to ask those of you who are listening to this video, will be listening to my podcast, are you okay? Sometimes the answer to that question is a complex answer, and sometimes it's just a simple no, I am not okay. In counseling grief clients, I have found that there is a great need for our grief to be understood. And grief does not have a target range. But young people, be careful because there are times you are the most overlooked and can be the most impacted. I want to share this disclaimer with somebody to let you know there would be no grief without love. And the reason grief is so natural and normal is because it shows us that we were fortunate to love someone or something. And so let's just get into this episode. I was thinking about the song from the late Michael Jackson, simply titled, You Are Not Alone. And in your grief, if that's you, I want you to know that it's okay to not be okay because you and I are not alone. I want you to take a moment to try to acknowledge those things that are common with grief that we struggle with, while also admitting that each experience in grief is different from person to person and from event to event. The way you may grieve the loss of your mother can be different and likely different from any other experience of grief in your life or another loss. So the key is recognizing rather than trying to predict how it will happen. Say it with me. It's okay that I'm not okay. It's okay that I feel isolated at times. It's okay that I feel alone. It's okay that I don't feel connected to anyone when I could be sitting in a crowded room. It's okay to say I'm not okay. Many therapists that you will sit with, including me giving counseling to folk, I will say that a healthy person is not someone who doesn't have any problems, but a healthy person is the one who knows that they do. Being open about your grief and loss can be difficult and challenging at times, not only for you, but even for those around you, because they may not have the capacity to help you. I received a question from somebody that I would like to address, and here was what that question was. They asked, why is it so difficult to discuss my feelings and grief with the new person in my life about the partner who has passed away? Wow, that is an amazing question. At the same time, what a challenge. If you are lucky, the new person in your life has the sensitivity and caring and capacity for you to share those feelings. However, there are times that there may be somebody in your life that feel threatened by those memories of the other person. Here is what I would share with the person who feels threatened. Remember, this is not a competition. Remember, you cannot compete with another person, nor should you have to, because we are all unique in our own way and can only be the best version of ourselves. With that being said, there are times that you are able to listen and hear how much your partner has the capacity to love you, while also accepting that there may be a fear in their life of losing yet another person like you or another person that they love. If you have someone that is caring enough and has the capacity for you to share and have empathy, try your best to not push them away, because they too grieve the fact that you have sadness in your life and they are only trying to help. It's important for you to be able to be open and share the memories of your spouse, to share the memories of your significant other, because it helps you move on without feeling guilty like you have to forget them. And if we're lucky in life, You will meet a few people that are so amazing that you will never be able to forget them or who they were. And that at times makes my grief all the more intense and unpredictable. When analyzing our grief, there are some characteristics that can be called pathognomonic. That simply means that grief has some distinct feelings and thoughts that are associated with it. When we grieve, we don't always understand what is normal anymore, and you can find yourself in a place that you are not alone. You're not the only one that feels this way. You are not alone. I want to share with you some common grief symptoms. Some of us feel like we're lost and we don't even know who we are anymore. Because that loss of identity at times is a result of a loss of awareness because it's attached to the person you lost. Let me give somebody an example. If I lost my mom, I lost my dad, it's possible at times that I struggle with even feeling like I'm a son. Some of us, when we are dealing with grief, one of the symptoms is I find myself getting angry at everything. I find it hard to get out of bed in the morning. People say to me that they know how I feel, but they really don't. Some of those symptoms are I feel overwhelmed. I find myself crying for no reason. I just need somebody to know you are not alone. It's hard for me to concentrate after losing that loved one. And I feel like at times I have lost interest in everything. And even when I'm surrounded by a bunch of people, I still feel alone. Life, I'm here to tell somebody it's okay to not be okay because life will never be normal again. And that's your feeling, but the reality of it is it will not. There will be a new normal as you transition or move on without that person or thing. Somebody is saying the feeling I have is I don't want to do anything and I'm easily irritated by the smallest things. You're not alone because that too is a symptom of grief. Maybe you feel cheated out of the plans that you had. You feel like your dreams are crushed, and that too gives us grief. And some of us just avoid talking about the loss I endured because nobody understands what I'm going through. I feel at times like my life has stopped since that person has gone on, and it's hard for me to sleep. And somebody knows what it feels like to not have rested in days. You can sleep sometimes, but that doesn't mean you are resting. And many of us know the feeling of feeling numb. And I want you to know while you're asking the question, what's wrong with you? I'm here to tell you nothing. You're grieving. My heart feels so heavy that it feels like it's suffocating. And I just want you to know that those are all symptoms, natural responses when we are grieving. And this is an inclusive list and not one that's exhaustive. If you are experiencing some of these symptoms, know that you are not alone and it's okay to not be okay. Thank you for taking the time to be with me on the brief on grief. Thank you for joining me for this episode of It's Okay to Not Be Okay. And I want you to know if you found this video helpful, please subscribe and share it and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And as always, if you know anyone who needs a more in-depth session of grief counseling 101, please drop an inquiry in my email, thebriefongriefpodcast@gmail.com, and I would love to set up a consultation with you. And as always, remember that we all know someone that is grieving, and that person might be you. Until next time on The Brief on Grief.